The Minnesota Vikings opened their three-game preseason schedule on Saturday at US Bank Stadium against the Houston Texans. Football is back. Kind of. It's not regular season action, but it's meaningful football. It is a live setting. It's a little different from training camp practices that we've seen over these past couple weeks, and there's going to be a lot to learn. We just published an article over at Vikings on SI about 15 players to watch in this game on Saturday. But for the sake of the video, we're going to cut it down to 6. I'm going to give you 3 from each side of the ball to keep an eye on in Saturday's game. The obvious one to start with is JJ McCarthy. It's been about a year since McCarthy suited up in a Vikings uniform for the first time against the Raiders in last year's preseason opener, and really showed a lot of the things that have been kind of a foundation of hope for Vikings fans, believing that this guy is their future franchise quarterback. He threw an early interception in that game, but he bounced back and really lit up the Raiders defense. Granted, 2s and 3s and 4s and whoever was out there, but he threw for 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, made impressive throws to all levels of the field. Unfortunately, he did tear his meniscus in that game, which was revealed in testing over the next couple days, and he was out for the rest of the season. And we all know how that's gone since then. The Vikings had a great season with Sam Darnold, but felt comfortable letting Darnold walk and handing the keys to McCarthy. And now all the eyes are on this 22-year-old young man, the number 10 overall pick out of Michigan last year, who's had a training camp that's about what you'd expect. There's been more good than bad. There's been a lot of encouraging stuff, but it's also been a roller coaster. Most days at training camp haven't been great McCarthy days or terrible McCarthy days. They've been somewhere in the middle. There's been ups and downs within just about every practice. There have been some that have been much better than others and some that have been much worse than others, but for the most part, he's looked like an inexperienced quarterback who has a lot of talent, has a good command of the Vikings offense. He's practicing without Justin Jefferson and without some offensive linemen, and he's going against a Brian Flores defense that looks like it has a chance to be one of the best in the league once again this year. So the ups and downs have been kind of expected, but now we get to see McCarthy's development put to the test against a different defense. He won't be facing Brian Flores and all of his chaotic schemes, which he's kind of excited about. And McCarthy he said yesterday that he's really fired up about this opportunity to play in this game, be out there with his teammates, see some live bullets flying. And this will be the only time we see McCarthy in the preseason. You're not going to see him in the second and third games. We don't even know how much he's going to play in this game on Saturday. Could be one series, could be an entire half, perhaps. But he is going to get some level of action in this game and then in the joint practices next week with the Patriots. The second guy I'll highlight on offense is wide receiver Jeshaun Jones. He is a guy who was an undrafted free agent last year out of Maryland and has really just kind of popped. You look for players who stand out in these practices, whether it's OTAs, minicamp, or these training camp practices. And Jones is a guy who's done that. Last year, he did it as an undrafted rookie, which is why he stuck around. This year, he's done it. He's made a bunch of catches. He's big. He's got speed. He runs crisp routes. There's a lot of wide receivers to watch. It's a very deep position. Ty Felton, this year's rookie, the third rounder out of Maryland, is another guy I could highlight, given that he's had a slightly disappointing camp. And Lucky Jackson, Thayer Thomas, Rondell Moore. There's a lot of interesting receivers here. But Jeshaun Jones had a good preseason last year. Feels like a guy who could have another strong preseason and really make his case to be on this roster and maybe even play. I mean, it's a deep position group, like I said, but keep an eye on Jones, number 82, on Saturday. And then the last one is another fairly obvious one on the offensive side of the ball. It's first-round pick Donovan Jackson, who is the Vikings starting left guard. He should be out there with McCarthy in the first-team offense for, again, maybe a series, 2 series, a whole half. I don't know. Jackson, for the most part, has looked good. We haven't really talked about him much or called his name much over the course of training camp, which is a good thing for an offensive lineman because he's not making egregious mistakes. And he's been going against guys like Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, who have definitely beaten him on certain reps at times, whether in one-on-ones or or in full team scenarios, but Jackson has the ability to, even if he gets beat, he's athletic enough to recover and not make the snap a total loss, which was something Kevin O'Connell highlighted when talking about him earlier in camp. So it'll be fun to see Jackson. I mean, he doesn't play a glamorous position, but he's the Vikings' first round pick, and it'll be the first time seeing him in a uniform in a game setting. So it'll be interesting to watch run blocking, pass protection, and see how he handles things along the other starters. Although we don't, presumably Christian Darrisaw and Ryan Kelly, who are low banged up. Well, Darrisaw's coming off a major injury. Those guys probably aren't going to play, but we should see at least 3/5 or a couple of the Vikings starting offensive linemen. On the defensive side of the ball, I'll start in the trenches and go with Levi Drake Rodriguez. He was a 7th round pick last year, a small school guy with a great story who stuck around with the Vikings and has really kind of built some momentum heading into his second season. He is a guy who plays with a lot of energy, a lot of force, a lot of personality, even. And he's been in the backfield quite a bit during these training camp practices. It almost seems like sometimes the Vikings have to kind of rein him in a little bit and keep him from, doing too much, because they're full speed practices, especially when the pads come on, but they're not live. There's not hitting. You are certainly not supposed to be anywhere near hitting the quarterback. So Rodriguez is, like I said, he just plays with a ton of energy. He's strong. He's athletic. He is intriguing, and I'm excited to see him unleashed against another team's offensive lineman in a setting where you are actually allowed to go hit the quarterback in these preseason games, and there's full tackling. And Rodriguez is a guy to keep an eye on in the middle of the Vikings defensive line. There's a few guys in that room: Jalen Redmond, rookie Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins out of Georgia. But yeah, keep an eye on number 50 in the middle of the defensive line. And then on defense, we'll go to the secondary, where there's a couple guys that I'll be watching. One of those is Jay Ward, safety out of LSU. He's in his 3rd year now. He's part of the Vikings 2023 draft. Hasn't played a lot. Kind of like Theo Jackson, he's been biding his time behind the scenes, and he is behind Jackson in the pecking order, but he's pretty clearly the number 4 safety on this Vikings roster. I expect him to play a good amount in the preseason. He's looked good in camp. He's made plays. He's been in the right position in coverage. He's come downhill against the run. Jay Ward seems like a guy who is really comfortable in this 3rd season in terms of his knowledge of Brian Flores' defense and what the Vikings want him to do, and all the different responsibilities of playing safety in this defense. He's not a guy who's probably going to see the field a whole lot in the regular season unless something happens to any of Harrison Smith or Josh Metellus or Theo Jackson. But definitely a guy to keep in mind, just as a nice depth piece to have at safety. He'll play a lot on special teams. But these preseason games are the time where a guy like Jay Ward could maybe snag an interception or make some plays and stand out in a big role. And then the last one I'll end on is an undrafted rookie out of Utah, cornerback Zamaya Vaughn. He is lanky. He is athletic. He's a guy who, frankly, you watch him play in training camp, and it's surprising that he went undrafted because of the combination of size, coverage ability, ball skills, playmaking. He's looked really, really good. There's a bunch of undrafted free agents to watch over the course of the preseason, which happens when you have a small draft class and you sign like 20 undrafted guys. But Vaughn is right up near the top of that list. He's a playmaker. He plays with an edge to him which you have to have at the cornerback position. So yeah, Vaughn, a guy who's stood out. I mean, dating back to even the offseason program, OTAs, minicamp. And I'm excited to watch him play. So those are 6 guys to keep an eye on in Saturday's game. Like I said, Vikings on SI put out a list of 15 players to watch in this game. And looking forward to some football. It's not the regular season. It's the preseason can be a little slow sometimes, but this first game, you'll see some starters. And there's a lot of kind of those training camp battles to watch that we now get to see go from the practice field onto the turf at US Bank Stadium. So looking forward to it.